Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous little granny square you see right here. Well, it's not little, but it is actually here and we're making it for our Halloween granny square sweater vest. Get way too excited. There it is. Isn't it simply divine? And she's showing it off as she usually does. A little bit on the silly side, but there you go. So we are making this square today. So get excited, guys. It's a square that we've all been waiting for. Now, as you can see, I've used two different color yarns here, as I did in the actual vest itself. And there it is again. Very nice. All right. So how much yarn will you need, I hear you ask? I will pop all that information up on the screen. There it is right there. That's the amount of yarn you'll need for your size. Don't stress too much. I've given you plenty of leeway to have lots left over. Now let me explain what I did. I used, and now we'll just say I did 2 extra large. That's all I want to say about that. And I used, do you love that or not? I used 400 grams of the main colour and 200 grams of this colour here. But to be fair, with this colour, I only ended up with tiny little strands left. It wasn't much left, all right? So yes, I used 600 grams in total, but I did skimp on a lot of the yarn and I pulled real tight so that I can save extra yarn. So I would suggest using that a little bit more. So what you see on the screen right there, and I've popped in meters for you to help you out as well, and yards. So it gives you a choice whether you want to use the meters, yards, or the grams of skein. Now the skeins I used, the yarn is... All right, I had to take off for a second and go and find the yarn. All right, so it is our Brighton cotton here in Melbourne, Australia from Spotlight. Now, this cotton, it's 50% cotton and 50% acrylic. All right, it is an 8 ply or a DK weight or a number 3 weight overseas. All right, and I use 400 grams of this, but this one here, I used exactly 200 and literally there was like, let me show you, there was like a little tiny few strips of that left. So just assume that for 2 extra large, you will need a little bit more than I do. And I'll tell you why, because everyone's tension is different, all right? So make sure you use the hook size that you need for your tension, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But in the meantime, this yarn, if you're wanting to know, the color of this one is called, I don't know what to call that, denim, I don't know if it's mange or mange. Mengi? Let's call it mange, yeah? Don't you love it? Denim mange. And this one here is, I love this one. And I'm not a keen lover of variegated yarn, but this one is gorgeous. It's called Candy Mix. There you go. And together they look simply divine. Now, obviously we use the black and white for this one right here, simply divine. And there you go. All right. So what I want you to do now is to think about the colors that you will need for your squares. Now you can use any colors you like. Now if you're doing the Halloween one, oh, there's the gorgeous Halloween one again. You can use your black and whites, or you can use contrasting colors like this. And you can see how gorgeous they come up even in different colors. I wonder what it's going to look like at the end. I'm so excited. But anyway, there you go. Well, I know the black and white because we can see that, but this one here, I just cannot wait to see it. All right, so that's that. Let's talk about measurements. Alrighty guys, we're going to take your measurements real quickly. We're going to take your bust measurement, your waist measurement, and or your hip measurement. And I say and or because the largest measurement is what we want to work on today. Whether that be your hips, your bust, your waist, whatever the largest is, that's the measurement you work on. And when I say take your bust measurement, you go right around your back and right across to the front, take that measurement there, and that's your bust measurement, whether it be inches or centimeters, because I've used both of them on the tutorial, which is fantastic, yeah? Then, once you've done your bust, you do your waist. Once again, you take that measurement there, whatever that may be, and then you do your hips. Now, your hips goes right around your back and across to the hips. Make sure it's at the widest part of your hips, yeah? So get the widest measurement out of the 3, and let's go back to the workstation. All right, so now that you know your measurements, what you need to do is make a small gauge swatch, including your hook sizes that you see right here. Now let's go back to my work here. My piece here I made with a 5mm hook. So my first 4 rounds were created using the 5mm hook. So no matter what hook size you're using, make sure that your first 4 rows measure that hook size. So let's take, for argument's sake, have a look up on the screen there. You can see the 5mm. For those of you using the 5mm hook, yours will need to measure 9 centimeters. So like that, right, on your 4th round. From there to there is 9 centimeters, and it's exactly the same from there to there. So it needs to be measured 9 centimeters from there to there, 9 centimeters from there to there, and if you haven't missed any spaces, then it should measure perfectly. Now, for all the other sizes you see up there now, those are the measurements you need for the hook size you're using. All right, now I hope it doesn't look too confusing for you. All right, but just think of your hook size, or when you're finished making your square to this size, and it will state it right in the middle of the tutorial. It'll tell you to stop and check your tension, and when that happens, you are checking that right there. All right, now I'll pop this little footage inside that measurement section as well. So check your measurements if they do not add up to the hook size of yours. So if they add up less than what you're supposed to have, you need to go up a hook size. If it adds up more to what you're supposed to have, you need to go down a hook size. All right, that's how you measure tension for the granny square. All right, I hope that made sense. I'll be explaining this once again throughout the tutorial, so you'll get that information as well. All right, so let's continue. Alrighty guys, so we are going to start off with the very first colour, which is the blue, and you need to make sure that you have the right hook size for your size. Alright, so have a look on the screen there now, and you'll see the chest measurement and the hook size near that chest measurement. Check your chest measurement and follow the hook size for your chest measurement. Alright, so we are going to start off by using the blue. And we're going to make a magic loop, magic circle, magic ring. Just grab your yarn and just grab the tail end. That's probably too close now. And just pop it in front of you. Grab your working end, wrap it around your fingers and crossing over like that, forming a little X. Grab your hook, pop it under your first loop, grab that back loop, pull it up and forward. And what you have is the 1, the 2, and then 2 loops here. All you need to do is grab everything. All right, and then you just chain, and a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once, do it again, twice, and again 3 times. Keeping everything still, pop your yarn over your hook. We're going to do a double crochet in the center, just not letting go yet. Just yarn over your hook into the center, and you're actually going around 2 loops there, yeah? Pull a loop through like so. That's 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. You can let go now, yes? And you've got 2 loops left. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now, that is actually a double crochet in the US terminology, or a treble in the UK terminology, okay? So just grab your little tail end, closing it up a little bit, not much. We still want to fit in some more clusters in there. Clusters are 3 double crochets together. And in this case, before we continue, grab yourself a stitch marker. Now, if you're new to crochet, my suggestion would be to use some sort of stitch marker, safety pin, hairpin, whatever you have in stock. So normally we would put a stitch marker in a stitch that we just made, but we're going to pop it in the top 2 loops of one of the chains, or the third chain I should say, that we made before. See if you can do that. You've got 2 loops on top and 1 on the bottom, and mine is really tight, which means I'm going to struggle to slip stitch in at the end of the round, as you do. So we're going to do 1 more double crochet in that center. So pop your yarn over your hook into the space, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So in this round, your chain 3 will act as a double crochet, and then you've got 2 more here. Now you need to form a corner, and to do that you need to chain 2. So yarn over your hook once, yarn over your hook, pull through twice. All right, so yarn over your hook, you're going to do 3 double crochets in the center. So off we go doing 3. 1, 2, I might get a little bit closer so that the new crocheter can see what I'm doing exactly. Okay, so it's yarn over your hook, and the third one we're going into the center, pulling a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So what you've got is a cluster set of 3 double crochets here, chain 2, and a cluster set here. These can also be classified as shells as well. So you'll notice that a lot of people will call them shells as well. But in my case, I'm calling them clusters, okay? So chain 1 and 2, and you're going to do another cluster or shell in that space of 3 double crochets, US terminology, or 3 trebles in the UK terminology. All right, I'm going to bring that back again now because that's really close. It's just that I wanted to show the new crocheter what we were doing, okay? And there is your third one. And I've got my yarn tangled up here. I don't know how that happened. Look at this. It's tangled up with the other one, as you do. Okay, so I'm sorry, just talk amongst yourselves there. Chain 1 and 2, and you're going to put another cluster or another set, another shell, if you will, in there of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. This is all in the center of your loop that you created, and your tail should still be there. Yeah, so from here you're going to form, that's 1 corner, 2 corners, 3 corners. You need to form another corner, so chain 1 and 2, and what you have now is your full square. It's not complete yet. We're going to close up our center first. So grab your little tail end and just pull it real tight, and like magic it closes up. Now that's not the end of it. We are going to weave that in as well. A lot of people say, I don't like the magic loop or the magic circle because it comes undone. It can come undone if it's not weaved in. So we're going to weave that in later, not now. So pop it at the back so it's out of your way. And remember that tight stitch from before. You need to pop your hook in and do a slip stitch. So you don't need to put your yarn over anything. You just need to pop it in. Oh, it's not too bad. There we go. You can take your stitch marker out if it's a little difficult for you. So you got your hook in. Oops. Pull a loop. Oh, it is tight. Pull a loop through like so. Yeah. And then pull it through to the loop on your hook. And you now have yourself a little square, which is still not complete. So yarn over your hook, pull a loop through, cut your yarn. I'm not going to cut mine because these are tails from earlier, and just pull it through. So cut your yarn, give yourself a little bit of tail for weaving in, maybe not as long as that, yeah, but give yourself a little bit of tail for weaving in, and that's your first part of your square. Now what you're going to do is you're going to change colours. So grab your other colour. Now this is the multicolour or the variegated yarn that I have in stock. Okay, so you're grabbing your other colour. Now you can pop your new colour in any corner you like. Yours truly does not like to start in a corner where there's a tail. I usually go a corner before, or even one on the opposite side, or one there. Okay, I'm going to go on the opposite side today. So pop your hook in that corner space, straight into the space. All right, and all you're doing is grabbing your tail, popping it over your hook, pulling it through, and grab the little tail end. We're going to lock it into place because it's not locked in. Just passing it forward, yeah, and then chaining 1, 2, and 3. And now we can actually pop our stitch marker in this chain because we don't have to hold on to anything. Like we had to hold on to the center before, so it was difficult. But we can do that now before doing the double crochet, which makes it a lot easier to put in, yeah? So what we're going to do with this tail, we're going to crochet over it and we're still going to weave it in later. Yes, I am a sucker for punishment, yeah? So yarn over our hook, we're going to put 2 double crochets in that corner, crocheting over our tail, and off we go. 1 and 2. All right, we want to complete the corner. Chain 1 and 2 and double crochet in the same corner. Second double crochet, we're still crocheting over the tail, and third double crochet. So what you have in this corner, let's grab that tail now and pop it at the back, is your corner cluster set. All right, that's what I call them when I'm writing my pattern up. So once you see the pattern, you'll see the word corner cluster set. So yarn over your hook, you're going to skip your 3 double crochets and you're going to pop a corner cluster set in there, and that's 3 double crochets right into the next corner space. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2 and 3 double crochets all in the same space. The tip is to remember 3, 2, 3 in the corner space. That's all you need to remember for corners, yeah? All right, so for now, what we need to do is jump straight into the next corner with our corner cluster set, but this one has a tail. You can leave it there and weave it in later, or you can do what I do. If it's too difficult and you're brand new, don't do this. But that's grabbing the tail in the back of your hand, yarn over your hook, jumping into the corner and crocheting over that tail, dropping it now, and it's already stuck under your stitch there at the back. So you just keep doing your corner set. Now you didn't have to do that, you could have left it and we could have weaved it in at the end. We're still going to weave that in. It's still not done. I'm a big stickler for tails. So now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and do your 3 double crochets all in the same corner. And I'm getting all knotted up here. All right, so now you have that corner right there. You're going to jump over those 3 double crochets straight into the corner with 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. All right, 3, 2, 3. That's all you need to remember for the corners. Chain 1 and 2 and 3. All right, it's super easy, the granny square, and I think I've mentioned in many of my videos how many times I had trouble with the granny square growing up, how much I despised making them growing up, but now I'm a champion at them, yeah? All right, so do you like that information there? A little bit of trivia. Now you have done your 1 corner, 2 corners, 3, and you've just completed your 4th corner. Now we're going to join again. We're going to skip over these 3 double crochets and we are going to pop our hook, no yarn overs, just pop your hook in that stitch marker stitch. Oh, it's not too bad. Taking out your stitch marker, yeah, and just finding, where is it, the tail at the back, yeah, and pulling that loop through like so, and then through to the loop on your hook. Pull up a loop, give your work a cut, and then just pull your tail through. Now I've got a knot there. Don't ask me how that happened. Oh, when I was making the cakes earlier. Well, you don't have to worry about that. All right, now what we have, give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to cut my tails. That's better. There we go. They're all cut nice and short. Not too short, guys. Keep your tails long enough for you to weave in. Yeah. So what we have is your 4 corners. Yeah. But now we also have 4 side spaces. All right. And we're going to work in those side spaces as well as our corners for this row. All right, so grabbing your hook and find a space wherever it is. It doesn't matter. I'm going to pop one right here where there's no tail. Grabbing your contrast color again, actually grabbing the main color. The main color is the blue in this case. So pop it over your hook and pulling it through like we did before with the variegated. Grab your tail, passing it forward. We're going to lock that into place with chain 1. Tighten it a little bit. Chain 2 and 3. Don't over tighten it, but tighten it enough so you lock that thread into place. Pop your stitch marker in your chain, your top chain there. That's the top 2 loops and the one on the bottom. Yeah. All right. Then you continue doing what I like to call the beginning corner cluster set. So yarn over your hook and you're doing your double crochets, US terminology, or trebles in the UK terminology. You need to have altogether 3, the chains, and then 1, 2, yeah. Chain 1 and 2, and your 3 double crochets all over the tail. Yeah, we're crocheting over our tail, and that's holding it all into place. And then later we'll weave that in as well because yours truly is a sucker for punishment. Now grab the tail end and passing it at the back. All right, so here's where I said there is a side space as well. Before we were able to jump over, hop into the corner and put our set. But if we did that, our square's going to curl. So we need to pop our sides in now. So yarn over your hook, you're going to go into that space right there, and you're going to put 3 double crochets, or what I like to call 1 cluster of double crochets, or 1 cluster set actually. It's called, when I do my writing, my written patterns, it's called a cluster set. So there you go. All right. So now you're going to skip over your 3 double crochets, hop into the corner and do a corner cluster set of 3 double crochets, or trebles in the UK. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 double crochets. Once again, trebles in the UK. All in the corner space. All right, so what you have is that you've got your first corner, you've got your first side space. See how you're getting a straight row now, and you've got your next corner, and guess what? You have another side space. So you're going to put 3 in there. So skipping over these 3 double crochets and pop your next set in that side space. All the side spaces will have 3 double crochets, and all the corners will have 3, 2, 3. Yeah, so hop into the next corner with your 3, 2, 3. 2 and 3. Sorry about that noise. That's the stitch marker on the table, guys. All right, chain 1 and 2. I'm holding it now. See right there? I'm trying to hold it so it doesn't make the noise. And you're putting your last set of 3 double crochets in the corner, like so. 2 and 3. And now you have a side space, but you have a tail. Entirely up to you whether you want to leave your tail and weave it in later, or do what I do and pop it in my fingers at the back, yarn over the hook and into the space with 3 double crochets. Now if you're new to crochet, don't do this. Just do your 3 double crochets in there. It might confuse you. The loop might be stranded somewhere else. So just do your 3 double crochets, yeah? Or 3 trebles, UK. Now we're going to jump over that next 3 and pop into the corner. So that's what we have, yeah? We're going to pop into our very last corner with our corner set. Very exciting. Well, we have the last corner, but we do have another side space to do. Yeah, so we'll just finish off this corner, chain 1 and 2 and 3 double crochets in the corner. 2 and 3. All right, so what you have is that, yeah? So now what you're going to do, skip over these double crochets right here and do one set in that space of 3, oops, don't lose a stitch like I just did, 3 double crochets. All right, my tail is tugging, that's why I keep losing my stitch there. It's caught on something, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We're nearly done with this row. And there you go. All right, so what you want to do here is you want to slip stitch once again, and I think I've split it, so I'm going to take mine undone. Slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. Don't split your work, guys. That's no good at all. Don't split it. All right, there we go. Pop your hook in, and it's the 2 loops on top and 1 on the bottom. Okay, pull a loop through, pull it through to the loop on your hook, and let's have a look at your square. All right, it looks like that. Now you need to pull your loop up and give your work a cut. Just grab my scissors. Oops, I'm making a big mess here. I made a big mess there. Sorry, guys. I just pulled it all across the room. I'm doing well today, aren't I? All right, so there's our little square complete. Simply divine, yeah? All right, so what you have is a whole lot of tails here, which we're going to talk about after the very next round. But for now, I want you to pop that there. Grab yourself that contrast color once again, and let's make the very next round. Okay, so once again, look for a space that doesn't have a tail. I'm gonna find one anywhere. All right, right there, right there. It doesn't matter, you find it anywhere you like, any corner that does not have a tail, yeah? They're pretty much all filling up now, so, you know, after about the 4th round, you will no longer have any spaces with no tails, yeah? But for now, we still have one more. We still have one more. All right, so you're popping your loop through like normal, tail over so we can lock it into place. Chain 1, 2, and 3. Hold it there. Grab your stitch marker. Like so. And you're going to put 2 double crochets in the center, like normal. And there's your next one, like that. Chain 2, 1 and 2, still crocheting over your tail with your double crochets, US terminology, trebles in the UK terminology. Okay. And there you go. So you've got your beginning corner cluster set, pop your tail at the back. But look what we have here now. Before we had 1 space, and we put our 3 double crochets. Now we have 1 and 2 spaces along the side and then the corner. Really important not to miss these spaces or your work will start to curl up. Yeah. So just remember one thing, that's the easiest way to remember it. Each round has an extra space. So the first round was, well, actually the second round I should say, had 1 space. The next round has 2. The next round will have 3. The next round will have 4. And so we'll go up by 1 in every round. But for now, we have 2 spaces. So you're going to skip over this cluster set, pop into the first space and doing your 3 double crochets, US, 3 trebles, UK. I think you know what I'm talking about now. Yeah. Guess what? You have another set. You're going to jump over that set. And I'm seeing a knot in my work. Oh, it's not a big knot. It's just a small one. Come on, Mary, you can do this. We might have to do this off air. There we go. There we go. I didn't have to do it off air. How cool is that? All right. So that's the second. She just, talks by herself here, guys. That's your second set there. So there's your first and there's your second. Now we're jumping straight into the corner with a double set or a corner cluster set. I like to call these corner cluster sets, yeah? 1 and 2. Again, you can call them corner shells. Lots of people call them shells and lots of people call them clusters. So there we go. Now, once again, you have your 2 spaces. This one has a tail there, which we'll work on in a minute. If you've worked on your tail, that's good. But in the meantime, we're going into the very next space, the first space of this side. 1, 2, and 3. And you're jumping straight into that very next one. And notice how I've put the tail on the back, but you don't need to. It's not important. It is important that you weave it in properly at the end. So you have to weave it in really well at the end. But, you know, it's not important to do it this way like I do, yeah? And guess what? Into the corner. Pretty cool, huh? With your corner cluster set. All right, I think you get what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do in a second is I'll finish off this set first and then we'll talk. I'm not going to get you to head off on your own. I'm just going to pop this on fast for you, just for this round, and then we'll talk, yeah? All right, so now what we're going to do, you have to continue by putting 1 and 2 sets along the sides. 1 set there and 1 set in the next one, then a corner. 1 set there, 1 set the next one, and we've already got our corner, all right? So I'm going to pop this on fast for you and make sure that you are putting 1 set in each space, yeah? And off we go. All right, guys, how did you go? Yeah. So let me show you what you've done. From the beginning, you've got a beginning corner set, and then 1 and 2 sets along the sides, 1 in one, 1 in the other. Then you've got a corner set, and then you've got 1 and 2, corner, 1 and 2, corner, 1 and 2, and now we're going to slip stitch into the very first corner that we made. All right. And that's pretty much, I thought I was going to go really fast. That's pretty much what a granny square consists of. Side squares or side sets and corner sets. Pull the loop through like so. Guess what? Give your work a cut like so. And you have now completed round number 4. Now we've got a million ends here, all right? So before we continue, we're going to weave in 2 ends. My first 4 rounds were created using the 5mm hook. So no matter what hook size you're using, make sure that your first 4 rows measure that hook size. So let's take, for argument's sake, have a look up on the screen there. You can see the 5mm. For those of you using the 5mm hook, yours will need to measure 9 centimeters. So like that, right, on your 4th round. From there to there is 9 centimeters. And it's exactly the same from there to there. So it needs to be measured 9 centimeters from there to there, 9 centimeters from there to there. For all the other sizes you see up there now, those are the measurements you need for the hook size you're using. So check your measurements. If they do not add up to the hook size of yours, if they add up less than what you're supposed to have, you need to go up a hook size. If it adds up more to what you're supposed to have, you need to go down a hook size. So I would like to weave in one where there's a small set, all right? So maybe find one where there's a small set of, well, not a small set, 1 cluster set, if you will. So there's just 1 cluster set. Now, if you haven't crocheted over it like I did, continue on the way we're going. But for those of you who've crocheted over your tail, so that it doesn't come undone, just pick up a little thread. Let's see if I can get it close up for you without it blurring. There we go. So all you're doing is picking up a little bit of thread, or splitting the thread a little bit like that, and then going back in through the space. Remember, you are weaving in your ends at the back of your work, yeah? Turn it over and make sure you can't see the needle, which is great because it's not visible, and just pull that needle through. All right, then, not too tight, yeah? You're going to turn back the other way, and you're going to do exactly the same. Now, I've come out of the end where I've already split it out, so I'm going to go under that thread, and I'm actually splitting, which is an absolute no-no, some of the blue thread under here. So make sure yours is completely correct before doing this. And just check you can't see the needle. Nope, which is good. And you just pop that needle through like so. Now, if you didn't crochet over your tail, you need to do it one more time. But for us who've already crocheted over it and sewn it through twice, all we need to do now is give our work a cut close to your piece. But when I cut my work, I bring the scissors out that way, right? So it does cut close, but it bends a little bit. So then you have space to pull it right into your work, and it disappears, and it shouldn't come undone. Shouldn't. If you've weaved it in properly, it shouldn't come undone. So that's one thread I want to show you. But the main thread I want to show you, and people really tell me off for this because they say you don't need to do it, but I'm telling you, you do need to do it. That center one right there. Don't let anyone tell you that's not going to come undone. It can, and it has in the past, okay? So thread your needle with that very center thread. Now, as you can see, the gap is already opening up. If I really pulled that gap will open, yeah? So what I want you to do is give it a tug, yeah? Then I want you to just pop your needle inside your stitching into the very next set. Don't go too high up or you're going into the actual stitch, but just right into the base of the very next set. Make sure you can't see the needle. All good. Pop your needle in, pull it through, and give it a tug. You're going to continue through that round, doing exactly that. At the beginning of your very next set, that's set number 2, done. Set number 3, oh, I'm forgetting to look at it. Make sure you check it and make sure that your needle cannot be seen. So set number 3, done. And we're going right back into the beginning set, which is right there. Check your work. Yep. So you're in. Guess what? It's not enough. Turn back the other way. You don't have to do it all the way around, just that little bit more. Going through some thicknesses, and you'll find it's really thick now, which is what you want. Okay? You don't want that coming undone, and that can come undone. Yeah? There we go. You don't have to go all the time. You know what? That's it. That's plenty. But make sure you weave that tail in. Yeah? All right, so there you go. That is not going to come undone now. All right, so that's 2 tails weaved in. Oh, look what I forgot to do here. I forgot to bring that loop through. Make sure you bring your loop through, guys. I don't know how I missed that, but anyway. All right, so that's 2 tails done. Okay. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because you're going to weave in all your tails as you go, or at least after each square, because let me tell you, when I did this top right here, I left all the tails attached and it was so difficult to weave them in afterwards. Having said that, it is black, so it was a lot difficult for me to see, and there were tails everywhere. So weave your tails in, I say, after each square. All right, complete each square and weave your tails in. You can leave the last tail. I haven't left that here, but you can leave the last tail. We'll be crocheting over them with borders and so on. So you can leave that last tail, but all the other ones in the middle, just weave them all in. Now with these tails here at the corner, even better, you just keep weaving them in and out of the corner twice. 3 times if you haven't crocheted over them. And once again, there's one of those single ones. I know they're both corners, corner, corner. You're going to find a few single ones now, so just keep that in mind. All right. There's a single one right there, so you've got to weave that in and out of there. Or it's up to you. You could actually, I wouldn't with the variegated, but you could go down here and weave it into the corner if you like. But when it's variegated, I wouldn't do that because the colour will be noticed, yeah? It doesn't really matter because that's the back and that's going to be inside your sweater vest, so you won't be able to see them anyways. But do weave in your ends, yeah? Why am I telling you this? Because you are going to head off on your own now. Now, let me explain something to you. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds. All right, now here's the size that we all need. However, have a look up on your screen right now. You'll have all the sizes and the amount of rounds per size. Now, from extra small right up to 2 extra large, you are only doing 7 rounds altogether. From 3 extra large to 5 extra large, you guys are doing 9 rounds. All right, so let's have a look at our square. When I say 7 rounds, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds, right? Or 9 for 3 extra large to 5 extra large, okay? So what you need to make sure is to fill up your single cluster sets. Don't miss any or you'll have a massive gap and your work will turn in, yeah? Fill up your corner cluster sets like normal, and that is all the repeat round is, yeah? When you're finished round 7, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cluster sets, extra small to 2 extra large. For 3 extra large to 5 extra large, you will have 7 cluster sets. All right, so that's because you are doing the extra 2 rounds. All right, but for everyone, there's your rounds again. That is the amount of rounds that you need to do for your size. All right, so head off on your own. Do the amount of rounds that you need to do for your size, and I shall meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our 7 rounds, or our 9th round if you are 3 extra large to 5 extra large, right? But in the meantime, for the rest of us, for everyone really, we're going to cast off our piece, and you're wondering why I have 2 here. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to cast off, all right? Now this is going to be the easy way for those of you whom are new to crochet. If I can get this on the hook, we can get started. All right, so what I did in my last set was I just did my last 2 double crochets. I need 1 more. This is the easy way of casting off. This is probably the best way if you are new to crochet. So all you're doing is what we've been doing all along, is slip stitching into the stitch with your stitch marker, like so. Take your stitch marker out. Cut your thread, mine's already cut, but cut your thread, do a knot and pull it through, like so. And that's all you do. Grab your sewing needle. Now this is only if you are new to crochet. Now if you are new to crochet and want to try the other join, then hang on one moment. We're going to do that in a moment. But for those of you who are new to crochet, this is the right side of your work that you just did. Now to hide this knot, you can go that way and you can go that way. You can go any way you want. What I like to do is just turn it a little bit and go back into the stitch that we just created, but down the stitch and down some loop at the back, all right? And when you do that, you just pop that loop through and the tail kind of hides and you see a tiny, tiny little bump, right? And I know a lot of people don't like that bump. So what you're doing, and you're just going to weave that through a little bit of thread at the back. Make sure you can't see the needle from the front, yeah? Through that thread there, and then through to the thread further down there. Once you are there, you can go right into that stitching there, and then just make sure you can't see the needle, yeah? Just go straight through like normal. Don't pull it too tight. You saw me do that, and it pulls up like that and you don't want it. So keep it nice and straight, and then you're going back into the other direction once again, splitting a little bit of yarn. We've done this before, so you kind of know what you're doing here. So you're going to do it a second time, but you're going to do this a third time because we didn't crochet over it, obviously. And just find a different area to go into. Now I'm splitting some of that light coloured yarn on the other side. Can't see the needle. Good, and you are done. Now this is for those of you who are new to crochet. Now if you're new to crochet and you want to try something different, then there's your square. You're going to try this one here with us. All right, so that was the first one, the basic way of joining your work. Going to do my last double crochet, and this is not really, let's bring it out a bit, that's better. All right, so we're going to do the last double crochet, which is right there. But before we pull the loop through on the last 2 stitches, we'll still pull it through, but we won't keep going. We'll pull it through like as if we're completing our stitch. Then you grab your sewing needle and thread it like so. All right, now here we have our stitch marker like normal. Normally we would have slip stitched in there. We're not going to slip stitch in there. We're going to use the very next stitch. All right, so I'll show you where we're going to put our needle, right into that very next stitch, making sure you're grabbing both. I'm just trying to make sure I haven't split the yarn. There you go. So make sure you don't split your yarn, which I haven't. Pop the needle through like so. Take out your stitch marker now because that's going to be in the way for this part. All right, so I didn't go in the stitch marker stitch. I went in the stitch right next to it. All right, so pull it through. Now what you're going to do here is you're going to hop back into this stitch here. But yours truly, when we do it, we turn our work a little bit like that. We're going to go through that back loop right there. But it's not enough to go into the back loop, all right? You go into the back loop, but you're also going into that loop right under that back loop, all right? That's part of the post of your stitch. If you don't do that, your thread will look completely wrong, all right? So pop your needle down that stitch right there, and it closes up shop like that. Now, a lot of people just turn around and then they weave through the back like we just did, but I find that a little bit, to me it looks unfinished, and if you pull your work, that happens. So I like to go right back into the very first stitch I did, oh, not even in frame, go right back into the very first stitch that we went into, yeah, give it a tug, and then I go back through that top loop again. So it's double work for me, but I do it so that it's tight, and that's not going to come undone. Don't pull it too tight or you lose your chain stitch, and you don't want to do that. Now you could have just left it the way it was when we first did it, but I'm going to leave it there, and once again I'm going to do exactly what I did with the other piece. We're going to sew down into the stitch. I'm sorry, make sure you check that you can't see your work, yeah? We're going to sew right down with the sewing needle into the base of the stitch and just keep going through like so. I'm rushing this one, sorry guys, but I don't want to waste any more of your time. I just wanted to do that. Now be careful, don't pull your tail too tight. Yeah, just straighten it back up again. Turn around, and guess what? You're going back into the stitch one last time. No, you're not. You're going to do a second, that's a second time. You're going to do it a last time right now. Now this, don't attempt this stitch if you're new, because you may mess it up and then you'll have to literally cut into your work to get this thread undone, yeah? Oh, we're done. We've done our 3 times, yeah? And we don't want you doing that. All right? So once you've done that, let me show you the 2 of them together. And you can decide which one you like better. Personally, they both look the same to me. This one looks a little bulky, to be honest with you. But if you look carefully at that one, it's kind of pulling a little bit, and you can see the knot, whereas this one here, you can't. It looks like part of the work. Now, it's entirely up to you whether you want to try either one of those joins. That was optional. All right, so now that you've done your square, very exciting, you are now going to head off on your own and create all of your squares. How many squares do you need? I hear you ask. Have a look up on the screen. You probably don't need to look, but I want you to look for your chest measurement anyway. So have a look up on the screen, extra small and small. You only need to do 20 squares. Everybody else needs to do 24 squares. All right, so that's what I want you to do. What we're going to do now is head off on our own, do our squares, meet back here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to give you 2 weeks because we're actually in the middle of this vest right here. How gorgeous is this one? I cannot wait to finish this one. So we're going to be doing that one next week and even earlier into the week later. So that vest will be finished before we continue our Halloween vest. So it's going to take you a while to make all these squares anyway, so take your time. And if you think about 2 weeks is 14 days, that's almost 2 squares or 1.5 squares a day. So if you want extra time, please let me know. In the meantime, this is for our Halloween top for this year. Check it out. Oh, there she is being silly again. So check out the gorgeous top. We love this top. Well, I love this top. I love it in the black and white, and I also love it in these colors right here. All right, so head off on your own and do your amount of squares that you see up on the screen right there. Meet me back here in 2 weeks' time and we will talk about putting our squares together. So thank you very much for joining us today and creating our gorgeous squares. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all the wonderful things that you guys pretty much always do for me. And don't forget to join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. Marry that up with your country. My name is Mary. This is Crochet Designs, and good luck creating the rest of your squares. I will see you all soon. Ciao for now. How gorgeous are my squares?